Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. And this is Amplifying Voices, presenting and introducing. Tonight, my special guest is none other than the Reverend Helen Orme. I am so delighted to have her in the seat tonight so that she can share who she is. And as we prepare to celebrate wonderful women during Women's History Month, I am so delighted to have her as my guest. Welcome, Dr. Orme, to Amplifying Voices, presenting and introducing. Welcome, welcome.
And thank you so much, Dr. Deborah. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to be here on your show on tonight. I am just so excited about this particular event and things and what you're doing. And so again, thank you so, so much.
Oh,
Yes.
go on.
Oh, I was going to say, if you wanted me just to share just a little bit about myself, is that what you would like and things?
Absolutely. Absolutely,
Okay.
because it's my pleasure to have you here tonight. So please share with us all about Dr. Helen Orme that you want us to know.
Okay. Well, again, my name is Dr. Helen Orme, and I am the founder and the of Shekinah Glory Tabernacle here in Seattle, Washington. And I've been in ministry actually for 37 years. And I've been pastoring for actually 23 years. I'm going to celebrate our 23rd year this coming April. And just have a love and a passion for what I do. I was ordained in 2001 with the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World, and just been just loving what I do, love women in ministry, doing work with women in ministry too is another thing that I really have a passion for. I can just highlight a few things that I have done or is doing. I was recently, well, actually in 2019, I was actually appointed and voted in as the first woman to ever be the vice president or vice chair lady of the Pacific Northwest District Council of the 17th Episcopal District of the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World. And it has been inception, this particular diocese, for 65 years. And this is the very first time for a woman to be able to hold that particular position. So I am very, very grateful for that wonderful opportunity. And I'm also
Sorry, may we pause there to just congratulate you on making history after 65 years with no woman clergy at the helm. That is such an awesome accomplishment. Congratulations to you.
And thank you so, so much. Thank you so, so much. And as I was walking on that day for our consecration, I was able to look back to some of the women and I told them, we're treading out for you to come behind. And so we wanted to let them know that this was not just about for Dr. Orme, but it was for those that were going to come later or behind too as well. And so I really believe that I have a call to tread out for others to come. And so I really have enjoyed the journey and have been tremendously a blessing too as well, and things to be in this particular position too as well. I also serve also for our international, which is the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World. I've served in various capacities there too as well for the International Missionary and Christian Women Auxiliary. I served as the director for the Region 6A, and that entails Alaska, Hawaii, as well as California and also the West Coast pretty much. And so I did that for 2 terms. And so now I have the wonderful opportunity to be the director over the, not so much the director, the advisor for the West Coast region, which now spans all the way to Texas, all the way back to the region in upper Western Canada. And so encompass maybe probably about 10 states, but it has been also just another wonderful opportunity to serve and to be used by God to be a blessing to the women.
I think that is so incredible. And I'm so happy that we're doing this and are able to highlight your accomplishments as a leader in ministry in a denomination that has not before you welcomed women at that level of leadership before you. And the fact that you don't see it as only a personal achievement, but as a means to prepare the way for others, women, to come behind you, has that translated into more women clergy or laity receiving elevation, or definitely preparing themselves for the time when they will be called up?
hmm And that's a very great question. But I would like to just backtrack for just one moment and things, because in our actually organization itself, overall organization, women have always had a role in things, in a key role. And I wanted to make clear that too, because even there was a lady before me who was a suffragan bishop, and that have gone before me, but she never served as the vice chair lady of the diocese. And
Mhm.
so she was actually more or less like my mentor who was gone before us. And so in the overall organization, we have women that have been doing some great things and leading in so many different ways as pastors, ordained district elders as well. But I was the first one for our area. And so think in terms of the 17th diocese, when we have 62. So I'm just the first. So that's why I said maybe I better explain that just a little bit more. We have at least a 62 to 65 dioceses. And so I'm actually the first one in our particular diocese, but there have been other women in those different dioceses before me. And so one of the things that I see is that that we do have several pastors, even in our region in the Pacific Northwest District Council. We have several women who serve in the capacities of pastors. So they really embrace women and afford opportunities, whatever the call that God have upon their lives. So that's one thing I think I'm really fortunate and blessed by, and I thank God for it. I also serve as the district elder. That's why I said, well, just keep it at Dr. Orme, because it goes on and on and on. And
Yeah.
so I serve, and it's so unique, Dr. Deborah, because, and I just thank God. And I actually serve 4 churches that's up under me. And what the unique thing is that it's from my home church where I acknowledge my call, and my pastor there, and as a pastor. And now I'm the district elder for his church.
Wow.
Yes. And so, and then also the district elder for another bishop's church too, as well. And then 2 Suffolk bishop. And the thing that I found so gracious and humbling about is to be able to have been taught up under their leadership. And now I was able to be appointed to be over their church, in a sense, as the district elder for those churches. And so again, I'm really grateful for the opportunity, and just thank God for the wonderful opportunity to be able to serve in that capacity as well, and things. And so those are just some of the things that I have done. I also serve as the executive director for the Jesus Center Domestic Violence Coalition. And that was something that was birthed out. My brother, he's a bishop, and we was in a meeting together, and he asked me if I didn't mind developing that and being the executive director. And it's basically an organization where we bring churches together to empower them, to give them a greater understanding that right in our pews, there are people hurting and silently hurting. And we must become aware of that and provide them with tools, resources too, to be able to support them as well too, and have a safe place for them to be able to come and receive the help that they need. So, and then also to provide seminaries and training too as well. So that's what we do from the JCDVC.
I love it, and that work addressing domestic violence, and parenthetically, let me definitely say to everyone that women are not the only victims.
Yes.
we focus almost entirely on the victimization of women, but
That's
many
right.
men are
Right.
also
That's
victims of domestic violence. And I love this work because one thing that I've been doing, Dr. Orme,
yeah.
over during this pandemic is researching
Oh,
and
good.
watching that it's not only about the physical scars,
That's
it's
right.
also about the emotional scarring that
Right.
we typically gloss over. So the fact that your brother, the bishop, sat down with you and others and said, you know what, we have to address this,
Yeah.
and what you've grown it into, even taking it to the seminaries, I think is so commendable. And so I just praise God for that work because people really are in these pews. We
That's right.
think that they're just raising holy hands because they caught the spirit or something, whatever we say, but they could just be praising God for being out of that imminent risk while they're in service. So,
That's
I thank you. Thank you so
yeah.
much. Yeah.
Yes, and then also if I can interject, if that's okay,
Absolutely.
you said something that really leaped in my spirit. That what we do also up under that particular entity is when we started it. I remember God speaking directly to my heart. He told me that He is concerned about the victim as well as the perpetrator.
Mm,
And so
yes.
he said, I love everyone. And so he brought that back to my mind. And he also brought to my mind, too, like you said, that also men that also are involved and silently is suffering, too, as well. So he gave me Tab and Dan.
Mm,
So that's kind of up under our motto is we working with Tab and Dan. Tab was Tamar, Abigail, and Bathsheba.
mm,
Dan was David, and then the other one was Abel. I think was I forgot her. Amnon, I'm sorry, and Nabal, and that's why we come with the Dan. Thank you, Lord. And so we working with to reach everyone in the sense or provide that tool so that they can get whole and healed too as well too. So I
yeah.
appreciate you bringing that part out. Thank
Oh,
you.
absolutely. And in my own, like I said, I have been doing this research over the last couple of years, but
Yeah.
as it relates to domestic violence in general, I am not certain that more traditional denominations like your
Mm-hmm.
Pentecostal, I come out of the Baptist tradition,
Mm-hmm.
um, are we ready? And audience, we're just actually just brainstorming at this point, Dr. Orm and I, but
Uh-huh.
are we ready to, or have we gotten to the point where even we expand the definition of those who are involved in some level of domestic or intimate partner violence, as is the catchphrase today? It's all the same, basically.
Right.
But
Yes.
that typically includes members of the LGBTQ
Mm-hmm.
community in New York and throughout the country. A lot of trans men in particular have been victimized and even killed. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, and this is not for us to necessarily have the answer tonight, it's just a thought that came up while we are talking about this, because sometimes our view is limited. And I'm not talking about yours and mine, I'm talking about even as we prepare ministry programs of outreach. And we sometimes we just, some by design and others by omission of error,
Mm-hmm.
because we're just not thinking about them, we exclude other groups that may also be able to benefit from our services and our ministry. I'm just laying that there for us to think about off as we continue to do this work. But definitely as it relates to Tab and Dan, I am so thrilled that you have seen the vision. God
Mm-hmm.
wants us all to be well, and
That's
you
right.
all are making some dramatic inroads to try to help those who are hurting so badly. So thank you
Yeah.
so much.
You're so welcome. So welcome. And
So go on.
yes. Oh, okay. And then also I just have a radio talk show.
Yeah,
Uh
talk
yes,
about that.
yes, and it's called Home, and it's Helen Orme Ministry of Empowerment.
Okay.
And I started it back in 2007, and I put it to the side for a while, and so just felt led recently just to go back and to pick it back up. And it was basically would bring people on and interview them, and then two, also I did a lot of teaching, just basically like Bible study teaching on that too as well. And so I feel just really led just to go back because we got to raise the voices, because there are different issues that we need to talk about. And there are women as well as men that are doing some great things, and just provide them a platform to be able just to come and just share it, like yourself, or some of the wonderful things that you're doing and making an impact in the lives of people, and especially people that other people may never heard or didn't even know exist, and you affording that wonderful opportunity. So wanted to say that's something else that I do too as well.
I love it. I think it's absolutely necessary because
Yes.
I'm going to keep it real light right here when I say this. There is some ignorance on behalf of those of us who are on the East Coast when it comes to how many African Americans really are in the Pacific Northwest. We
Oh, yeah.
really don't think about there being too many of us out there in the Seattle area, the
Yeah.
Washington State, and
That's right.
well,
That's
that is
right.
Washington. See the
Right.
ignorance. That
Yeah.
is Washington State.
Yeah. That's Washington. Uh-huh.
So it's important that you are actually doing a radio show to bring those voices that we may never hear to the forefront. I think it's wonderful. I'm so glad you were led back to do it and to teach while
Yes.
you're there as well.
Yes. And so, yeah, it really is. It just afford an opportunity for people to be able to just to share their voice and their expertise as well, and things. And so I love doing that. And then the other thing, I did write several books. And so another piece that I do is actually I've written The Vehicle of Prayer. That's my last one.
Okay.
And then, and also self-care through prayer and forgiveness. And that one birthed out of my dissertation when I was doing my doctorate degree. And because I really wanted to do something of women in leadership, that's what I want to do. And they would not let me do it. They said I had to come up with something else because I've always done that. So I had to go back and really just seek the heart of the Father. And I said, Lord, I don't know what to do. And he dropped down in my heart as women that a lot of time in as a pastor or the leaders, we have been gifted so to be nurturers
Yes.
and givers. And so we give a lot and things, and we constantly nurturing. But as a women, sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves and to attend to some of our own needs that we may have. And he had me to come in the aspect of forgiveness,
Mm,
because sometimes we have to deal with those things where we've been hurt,
yes.
so that we can always serve from a fresh place as opposed to a bitter place.
Mm,
And from being hurt and being misunderstood and things, etc., or constantly giving, because he took me back to an analogy, Dr. Deborah, that hit home for me. And what it was, he showed me that when I was a little girl, I lived in Illinois and my grandmother lived in Missouri. So we took the Greyhound bus to go visit grandma, and then to go back home. And she would always tell us this. And she would say, be sure to take a handkerchief and put your money in the handkerchief and tie a knot and put it inside your bra and pin it there. Because if you go to sleep on the bus, nobody can steal your money.
wow.
And so that's what we had to do. And so God brought that back to my mind. And he said, such it is with women. We take our hurt, our needs a lot of time, and we put it in that handkerchief. We tie it up and we put it inside a bra and we put a pin there. And we
Mm,
forget about ourselves and the needs that we have. And so now we are serving out of that place, amen, of denying ourselves and not
mm,
taking the time to care for ourselves. And that means with hurt, pain, rejection,
yeah.
disappointment, being talked about, ostracized, and things misunderstood. We take all of those things sometime and just put it away and put it aside and never really deal with it. But we don't really recognize that sometimes that trigger can cause us to come out of that place. and
Mm.
and minister out of that place as opposed to a whole place. And so he showed me the relevancy for us as women is to learning how to forgive and let go and
Mhm.
things. And so that was very critical. And the book at that particular time, or my dissertation, was Self-Care Empowering the African American Christian Woman Leader Through Prayer and Forgiveness.
Wow. That sounds
And
so good.
and it's very needful for us. And then also divine touch, and that also deal with different issues that we deal with that we haven't dealt with and things. And so that's a session I take women or even men through and things too, for them to really to deal with those issues that we haven't dealt with and things, so that we can be made whole. And then finally, well, yes, the Orme sermon delivery tool. And so the Orme sermon delivery tool is just really basically an outline for helping those that are coming into ministry, how to lay out their sermon. Just give them some things that could be a structure for them. And so that's basically what some of the work that I've done since school.
That's a whole lot of work that you've done in school. I mean,
Yeah,
you could say you opened your own school to educate so many from your well of knowledge and expertise, and I think we're the more blessed for it. Now, those books. Now, we're gonna have to get you some sales for those books. I'm
oh,
not
okay.
saying that you have done very well,
No,
but I
no.
definitely want to know before we end how we can purchase these books. I love the fact that you have focused on the African American
Yes.
clergywoman or leader, because
Mhm.
let me share with the audience what we were talking about before we began,
Okay, great.
how
Certainly.
my crazy day has been. And so I'm listening attentively to Dr. Orme as she talks about the book that grew out of her doctoral dissertation.
Yes.
Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Are you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on there. But yes, okay. um, I was saying to Dr. Orm how my day was just bonkers, and there really wasn't time in all that I shared with you for Deborah. There was just no time for me. Um, and I was trying to finish my meal before we began tonight, but I'm a very slow eater. Everyone who knows me knows that I eat very slowly. So I could not delay starting any longer to try to finish the food. But
Yeah.
there is something about what you said about taking care of ourselves, and even that analogy that your grandmother instilled in you and your siblings when you were young. One would think that is taking care of self. It's taking care of an element of self, but it is not really taking care of self, you know.
Yes.
And so I can't wait to read your book. Had I really connected, I would have gotten it ahead of this, but be sure I will
We will
definitely,
make sure you get one. Yes.
definitely get it. Let me ask you something. So we met through a mutual friend who we both love,
Yeah.
revere, and are just happy to be within her sphere, and that's none other than the Reverend Dr. Laverne Hall.
Yes.
She didn't think twice when I reached out to her about a dynamic woman who I could celebrate in the month of March in choosing you. Why do you think, based on the relationship that you two have, that Dr. Hall recommended you for the sit
Well,
down?
I had to think about that, and my mind went back to how long have I known her, and it's been for years. Actually, my daughter, she was actually in pageants, and so that's how I met Dr. Hall. And my daughter was actually at that particular time, she was about 15 years old, and
Mhm.
she's 50 now. And so, so you can tell how long we have been together on this journey of coming across each other paths. And so I absolutely have great respect for Dr. Hall and all of the wonderful work that she is doing and have done in this region. She is just a phenomenal woman. And so we go way, way back. And all of the wonderful programs that she was doing. And she also, and what she's doing even right now, she always had a passion for other women.
Mhm.
to going back and bringing them forward and opening a door or providing a avenue where we can come and to share ministry or do ministry. So she really have been like our matriarch for this region that we could look up to, that have been paving the way and doing some great work herself. And so even the work that she's doing now with the Sojourner Truth and Truth Travel, it has been just profound. And so we have established a relationship. It's been for years, and just she's just a phenomenal woman. And what she's doing now is just bringing women together globally now. It has
Yeah.
gone international and things. And so, which is just profound. She's a profound woman of God with a great vision.
She does have a great vision. She has so much more to share, and we're all blessed to know
Yes.
her and have her. However, the question was, why did she recommend you? This is your
Oh,
opportunity to talk about you, and I'm not asking you
yeah.
to be
Okay.
boastful. There is something about you out of so many of us that she knows, you know.
Yes.
There was something about you. When I spoke to her, she didn't hesitate to say, contact her. I'm going to have her contact you. Why do you believe, beyond your daughter's pageantry and the long time that you two have
Right.
known each other, she has seen something in you that made
Yes.
her think of you first? Do
Yes.
you have any idea what that might be?
I think that what that is would be is paving the way for other women and the work that I'm doing and things, as what I was sharing earlier, to be able to be in the forefront and just opening doors. And I feel often a lot of time like Cornelius in the
Mm.
Bible, and he opened doors for the Gentile. And so that's what I kind of feel that God has called me to kind of to pave that way for women too in ministry. And I think that that's the only thing that I can come to my mind right now. Just the relationship I have with her as a friend, and she's 85 years old. And I love her dearly and things like that, and doing great things. But I believe that she's seen the work and
Mhm.
seen um, the tenacity and the courage to be in one of the fifth state. Well, actually, it's the second, or probably, yeah, the second state of unchurched state. Washington is, I believe it's number two. And thing to come from the Midwest, and God sent me here and things. I did not really want to come here because I love the Midwest. We had church back there and everything. And to come to a place where that is seemed like almost like a, I can't say it was barren, but it was a place where it's the second state in the entire out of 50 states to be an unchurched area,
Wow.
and then to be giving the assignment to come here. I wasn't in ministry at that time, but I had just gotten called into the ministry to start from there and to be here where I'm at right now. I was a teenage mom. I had my daughter at the age, I got pregnant at 14 and had her at the age of 15 and things. And so you can imagine back there, that was in 72. That was definitely unheard of. And matter of fact, when I was in high school, when I was pregnant, I could not go to any of the extracurriculum events and things. I had to go to the library and sit in the library during that particular time. And so often, just to share just a little bit of my testimony a little bit, I often thought in my mind about 2000. And I'm kind of like, that seems so far, you know, when I was back in the 70s, I said, that seems so far away. I don't know if I'm going to ever even make it there. But not knowing what God had in mind from that situation, that I thought my whole life was over back
Yeah.
there at such a young age and things. It just seemed so hopeless. But I had a beautiful parents and beautiful mother and things that was very supportive and loving and things that was there to support me and to encourage me to continue to go to school. I was, mind you, I was in freshman at that particular time.
Mhm.
And so she was very, very supportive, but I didn't really see the totality of the whole plan that God have. And so if I was to say anything to women and things that are in ministry or been called to ministry, to hold fast what God have given unto you to do and to stay focused no matter what, and allow God to do what he called you to do in your life and through your life. That's why the self-care to me, when I had to go back and get on my face and seek God as to what to do, that it was so important because we give and we give and we give, especially on the level of a pastor. You're constantly giving, but sometimes we don't take the moment in time to step back and take a pause. And that's in the book. It talks about it, to really to deal with ourselves and to minister to our needs too as well. But most of all, to forgive those that talked about you. Forgive those that walked on you, those that rejected you and things, and the competition and all of the different things that we may have found ourselves in, those that we refuse to call you doctor and things, and you worked and earned that. So we deal with those things. And people may say, well, I don't see anything different between a female and a male pastor. Well, that's a whole conversation by itself and things too. And so to be able to come into an arena, which is really basically male dominated, and you called to into the ministry to do the work and things too as well, and to be able to have a heart of forgiveness when you are rejected, when you're not understood and things, when you are taken as that you coming after my husband or somebody else's husband. And that's not really, we're coming after to fulfill the assignment of the Lord. So these are some of the things women may have dealt with or have found themselves somewhere in. But what do we do with that? And that's where prayer come in. That's where forgiveness come in. And so that's where that kind of birthed out of that place too for us. That's where we take care of ourselves too as well. And it's okay. It's okay. It
That is
is okay.
beautiful. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate you sharing your testimony, because there are lots of women who have similar stories about being ostracized and marginalized because
Mhm.
of an early pregnancy, an unplanned
That's
pregnancy.
that's true.
And
That's
and
true.
while you're speaking about the effects on you personally from the school, many churches also do the same. And perhaps it's worse because this is the spiritual realm, and we're supposed to nurture each other, and that forgiveness that you were talking about, if necessary, at a time when a young lady has made a decision to
Mhm.
engage in sex and subsequently gets
Yeah.
pregnant. That is not the time to reject her. And so
That's
we have to be so careful to continue to walk in the righteousness of Christ, of
right.
God, when people are in crisis. And that's why Jesus reminds us to be
Yes.
compassionate as our
Yes.
Father in heaven is also compassionate. And so,
Yes. And that took place when I was younger, like I said, much younger and things too, before I really came into ministry and
Mhm.
things. So that part of my life took place and things. And so when I did come to the place where I acknowledged my call into the ministry, my pastor and even the ministers that was there, they were very welcoming. And that's what blessed me so, because I remember the night, Dr. Deborah, when God told me to go to my pastor. And I said,
Right.
well, I said, Lord, I felt like David. I felt like a little old rodeo man and thing, or a person. And I said, how can I go in there and tell him that? And it was so profound. It was so profound. I went in that Sunday because it was on me, and I knew when I felt God move on me like that, I knew there was a time I had to move forward. So I went in and I told him, and he welcomed me to come back to the ministerial meeting. And I was the only woman. And that was back in the 80s and things. I was the only woman sitting in there, but they were so warm and welcoming, and they were very gracious and kind and things. But what happened is that I had an epiphany when I was in St. Louis. I went into the church, and I seen myself when I was sitting there in a white robe preaching And I'm kind of like, oh my God, that scared me so. And I start, you know how we run from God. And I
Yeah.
started kind of running, didn't want to hear anything God's saying and da 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 da. And so anyway, now here I am, fast forwarded in Seattle, and had to go in to tell my pastor that, and I was sitting in the meeting. And then so here comes the time that I had to do my first trial sermon.
Mm-hmm.
And now when I was in St. Louis, I was in this white robe in the pulpit. And so I come walking, this is Seattle now, I walk into the church, and my pastor called me to come into the office. What did he hand me but a white robe?
Wow. Wow.
And I was kind of like, oh my God, oh my God. But my daughter, she's in ministry with me too as well. So just wanted to say how it came full circle to be a tremendous blessing. And
What
thank
a
you.
blessing. What a blessing. And I love that because you affirm her, she
That's,
affirmed your life,
yes,
you
that's
know,
right.
and I love it. And I just love the fact that you are very deliberate about reaching back to
Yes,
bring
definitely.
others forward, you know, and that this is not a competition if we recognize that, like ourselves, others have been called by God too. And so we should, if anything, ask God, how can we help that person
That's
reach
right.
their fullest potential according to the call that He has placed on their lives? And then put us to work, Father.
Yeah,
Use
that's
us.
right.
You know, and I love that. That's what you've just talked about this entire interview, how you have understood, as the young people say, the assignment, and you are
Yeah,
walking in it and you are living it, and we're all the better for it. Whether we are close in proximity to you and your
mm,
great ministry, or if this is the first and perhaps for many the only way that we get to know you, I, on behalf of everyone who's going to see this, say thank you. Thank you
oh,
so
well,
much.
thank you. And I just say thank the Lord, and I just thank God for this wonderful, wonderful opportunity and things, because for such a time as this, the kingdom have need of us as
Yeah.
never before. And what I would say, though, if I could take the liberty for just a moment to share with our women that are coming forward and acknowledging their cause and things, receive sound wisdom.
Yes.
Be open in things to allowing your elders to pour into you, or
Mhm.
those that have gone before you to share their wisdom and things, because I find that a lot of time we want to share, and even to share with them sometimes the things that's up the road that they perhaps maybe have not experienced, just to give wisdom and things, and just to be open for that. But I charge them to go forward, to allow God to use them for His glory and honor. This is the wonderful thing, to be able to be used by God in
Yeah.
this season and time. So I encourage you to let God use you as
Yeah.
never before, in whatever capacity that may be, and things only God knows.
Absolutely. And I think that that is really sage advice from one who is wise to
Yeah,
those who believe that they have a call, have been running from the call of
yeah,
God on their lives,
yeah,
and in whatever capacity that He would send them
yeah.
forth, just
Yes,
to seek and even ask God for discernment in
that's
recognizing godly counsel
that's
when
right.
it walks into their lives, so that they can
Yeah,
avoid a lot of the
that's right.
pitfalls that many of us have had to
That's
go through
that's
in order to pave this way for them.
that's right. That's right. And because we love them and we want them to succeed in things, and to be the best woman that you can be in the hand of the Lord.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, this has been so enjoyable. You have such a rich living legacy, Dr. Orme. You have such a rich living legacy. And that's one of the reasons why naming this show Amplifying Voices was so important to me, because there are just so many of us that some of us will never ever have the pleasure of meeting, knowing, and experiencing their lives, ministries, work, whatever the capacity may be. And so I am privileged to have you here tonight to have shared just a little bit of what your
Mhm.
life has been like. When you think, Dr. Orm, about the
Mhm.
legacy that God is continuing to write
Yes.
on you and on your life, how best are you prepared for the rest of your life
Mhm.
to share with other clergy women, particularly Black clergy women? And I say particularly for this reason.
Mhm. Uh-huh. Yes.
Our call is often different
That's right.
from the
That's,
call of other women to ministry.
that's right. Mhm.
Our ancestry is different, so therefore our
That's
call
right.
is different, the
That's
way we do ministry. So
that's
as we consider that, we're specifically talking to the Black woman clergy, if that's okay. And I'm
no.
sure you impact many, many more. Dr. Orm, how do you see that legacy being lived out for the rest of your life?
Um, I see it being lived out is providing avenues to be able to continue to pour into and equip women. I didn't mention the Destiny Learning Center. That's something that I had started when I was 2007, when I graduated with my master's degree as a project. And that particular tool was to provide basic training for those that are going into ministry to empower them.
Beautiful.
Um, I have did another short little program is called Women Boot Camp, Women in Ministry Boot Camp. And
Hmm.
so able to take again women through some of the basic and share and pour the wisdom into them too as well, and things, and then God's generals and things to share with them again. Just the more tools of what I've learned in my experiences as well, just to empower them so that they could go forward in what God has given unto them. So one of the things I would love to do is to continue to provide educational tools for them, perhaps maybe even coaching as well. But I love what I do too. I love pastoring and things too as well, and all the wonderful things that I'm involved in. And so the legacy, if I could do, is to maybe perhaps put it in books, and so that it could live longer, and thing it could be passed on to others. And so that is some of the things that I wanted to do. And then the single parent is another thing that is a thing that's in my heart too, to provide women who are single parents and things, tools as well that have been called into ministry, and things to give them some tools too as well, to empower them as they're raising their children and things, and providing that spiritual nurturing for them, and bringing them along as they're moving forward in ministry too as well. So these are some of the things that kind of resonated in my heart to do as well, and just continuing on day by day in this journey and path to be a blessing to somebody and things, and to touch someone to let them know that Jesus loved them.
Oh, I love it. And I tell you, I have something that just dropped in my spirit while you were speaking
Uh-huh.
that I'm going to speak to you about off camera to
Okay,
see if
great.
that's something that the Lord would have us do collectively together. I
Oh, great.
love collaborations, Dr. Orm,
Good, good, good,
uh,
good,
but I did get something just now as I was listening to you talk about
good.
legacy, and I will definitely share it with you when we come off camera. But listen, I have been overwhelmingly impressed listening to you, getting to know you and watching you. And listen, that beautiful suit is not lost on me. It's just that I wanted to focus on what you had to say, but
Right.
that is a beautiful suit,
Thank you.
ladies who will be watching this. You look beautiful, and all that you do. I love the self-care piece. You clearly must be mastering it, or definitely being very intentional about it, because you don't look worse for wear with all that you do. Give us one tip as you prepare for your final words here tonight, as well as let us know how we can grab hold to your books, and the sermonic piece that will help women or men, everyone
Mhm.
prepare their sermons. As Dr. Orme gets ready to share with us a self-care tip, we already know it's self-care, prayer, and forgiveness, but just something that'll help all of us who are overextending ourselves often. As she closes out, it has been my entire pleasure having you here, but the last word tonight will be yours.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I want to say again, thank you again for having me too, Dr. Deborah, and the work that you're doing too. I really appreciate you and having the opportunity to meet you as well. One of the tips that I would share for women is that we know about the self-care piece in the prayer and forgiveness, but the physical aspect and the emotional aspect too is very, very critical too. Let's say for this physical is to get yourself a certain routine that you are able to exercise and things and be consistent with that. Normally, I like to try to ride. I have a stationary bike, and I normally try to do at least 9 miles a week and things. I do 3 times a week, three miles each time. And the food that I eat, I had to change my food habit, my meal and nutrition. And I had to begin to ask God to take things from me that was violating my body.
Mm.
Because as women, we want to be able to have the stamina to continue on in the journey
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to execute that which we're supposed to execute too as well. And to be on it for the long haul or, long duration, as opposed to further down the line and begin to have physical ailments that can impede upon the call that is upon our life. So I believe that that would be one thing other than what we normally know to do and things in our disciplines, to be able to provide that type of a discipline for ourselves too as well, is taking good care of the temple, because the temple is critical and
Yes.
things to keep it in the ultimate shape that we can. And to, if you have a ailment or sickness, begin to ask God to show you the natural ways too as well to heal the body as well too, because that's very critical for us as well as women. Then the emotional aspect too is to keep yourself in a good emotional space of taking time to pour back into you and love on you as well too, and allow God to love on you too as well, because again, we must recognize that we're nurturers and we're givers and things, and we give beyond our capacity sometime, and we come weighing and wonder why you weighing is because you forgot about you. And so what I would say to women that in ministry, be gracious to you. We offer grace to others, but let's be gracious to ourselves as well and offer that same grace to yourself. When you make a mistake, when you forgot to say something, be gracious to you and just love on yourself, because it's all right and things. Whatever they need to know, God's going to make sure they get it and things. But you be gracious back unto you, because sometimes we're too hard on ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so don't be hard, but love the queen and things. Love the royal diadem that you are, and the apple of God's eye, and the crown of glory, and go ahead and execute the work and the will of the Father with excellence, in the spirit of excellence. And so that's what I would say to the women of God and think. I'm excited for you. And I just say, do the work and endure hardship as a good soldier. That's what Paul told Timothy, and think that there will be hardship. But guess what? This is why I tell them at Shekinah. I said, if you fall off that bike, we riding this bike. If you fall off your bike, I have an expectation. That's why I tell our leaders. I said, put a Band-Aid on that knee and get back on your bike. Come on and let's keep moving, and you're going to be all right and things. And so that's what I would share with them. to keep up the great work.
Love it, love it, love it. Oh, I tell you, if nobody else caught it, I got it, and I'm
Did
going to.
you? Good.
I did, and I'm going
Good.
to start executing. It's not good
Yeah.
enough to hear. We have to also do. And so, thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Orm. How
Yeah.
can we get in touch with you? Do you have social media handles that you would like to share? A
Yes.
website that you would like to send us to in order to purchase books? How
Yes.
can we remain in contact with you?
Oh, okay. I am on Facebook, and you can find me at Helen Orme, and just my name. And the other place that you can find me is I have a website is Dr. Helen Orme, and you can find me there too as well. Our church is Shekinah Glory Tabernacles, another avenue that you can check and reach out to us too as well. And then we have, if you want to email me, it's my name at msn.com. You're welcome to do that too as well. And my that is my email address. And so I am on Instagram, and so having the young people to help me with the Instagram and things. And so that's Dr. Helen Orme or Shekinah Glory Tabernacle is on the Instagram. So those are some of the places that you can reach me. Email would be great and things. And if you be sure just to hit the important button that's on there that you can put, then that would alert me that I need to take a look at that.
Oh, awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We
Yeah.
will run all of the contact information that Dr. Orm just shared with us
Yeah.
in the credits, so do not cut out before you read the credit sheet.
Yes.
We are blessing God for you and your life, and that He would give you many more days to continue to do the
Receive it.
God's work. Dr. Helen Orme has been the subject of amplifying voices, presenting
All
and
right.
introducing. I have been blessed, and I know if you were paying attention, you too were blessed. We're going to say good night. God bless you all.
Dr.
We'll see you again on Amplifying Voices.